Everybody, it's Kate Richburg, and I am live from Beadshop.com. I am hoping that we're going to have a good connection here. I'm sorry if a good connection here. I'm sorry if it's frustrating for everybody, including me. So I am hopeful. There we go. I can see you guys. You can see me. Looks like our stream is strong. So we are just going to go with it. I restarted everything. So let's hope that everything stays good to go. I think I can see all of you all, and I think that you can see me. And let's jump in and get this party started, shall we? Because I am ready to make this project. Alrighty. So, again, I'm sorry if we're having a little bit of a lag here, but it looks like everything is going okay on my end, so I'm just going to keep pushing through. So I really appreciate it. If you do have trouble with this stream, go ahead in and out of your device and just make sure that you're connected to data. Okay? All right. So let's get this show on the road, shall we? So as I said, this is a piece, and I'm going to flash back to this card right here and show you guys. This is what we're doing today, and this is a piece that was made by our design team lead, made and designed by Ali Mori. And let me just say right now, Ali Mori, I don't know what we'd do without you. Don't let that pressure you, though, right? You guys and the whole design team, the Beadshop design team, Kim and Danielle and Faye, you guys do such amazing work. And you can see they're really amazing. Ali's been working on a project, deep in project for our lookbook. That's going to be coming out right at the beginning of the year. So, and it's always such a busy time of year. So if the design team seems a little quiet, don't you worry, you darlings. Appreciate everything you guys do for us. So I'm going to, as I said, let me show you. It's kind of a sad little mess over here. Over here for you guys to work with. We're going to be working with our November fantasy, our autumn fantasy rather, our monthly mix for November. It would also be a perfect one, you guys, to use with all our fall gourds, our October mix. These are two when Ali came to see us at Beadshop the last time that she was on. She brought two really beautiful palettes that she photos to palette from, and so I'm going to pour these out. This was fall gourds. Let me get it into the shot here. This was fall gourds. This was October's mix, and we still have a few left. We restocked it because we thought that it would be nice to have that a little further into fall. So that's fall gourds, and then let me show you here. Let me get another little mix over here. This is the Autumn Fantasy one that we're going to be using today. Now, Ali, like I know a lot of you guys do, when you get your mix, you like to sort them, right? Which sometimes I do. I'll confess, I don't always sort them when I work with them, and today I'm not going to sort them. But see, here's the Autumn Fantasy. Look at that mix. It's all 8/aughts. And the fall gourds from last month is also all 8/aughts. I'll give you a little bit of a hint. our Jenny and Jordan in fulfillment, and you know Jenny and Jordan, they both pack your pieces so beautifully, your orders so beautifully. They put their heads together and they did December's monthly mix. And I can't wait to show you. It has nothing at all to do with the holiday, but it is perfect. You get that in the shot here. But it's perfect for December. I think you guys are really, really going to love it. So that's a Jenny and Jordan extravaganza that you guys are going to see in December. I'm super stoked. They just took the bull by the horns and went for it. The other thing that we're going to be using in this bracelet today, these are little shadows, and you'll see, are regular shadows. No, let me try that again. Big shadows, Kate, this one here. And then you need a 6mm fire polish. In this case, it's the Milky White. Okay, and I'm going to show you that. You're going to need some flexible eye needles. Whoops. Someone did not put their phone on silent. That was me. Sorry if one of you is calling me. I just sent you to voicemail. So you're going to need those guys. And then you're going to need, and I'll slide this over here, you're going to need a button. In our case, in this case, it's the Arabian Star button. And then you're going to need some Ceylon, some fine Ceylon here in Orchid. And I'm going to show you this. And Allie, if you're watching, feel free to comment. I am making a couple of alterations to this project but you guys, as I always say, you guys, you do you. Okay. So, and this is a great one for a monthly mix. If you still have a monthly mix that's languishing in your bead box, this is perfect for it. Okay. I want to show you before we get started with this though, and I'll put this over here. I've got the photo for it. And if you haven't gone to our website and seen the project itself, go over to beadshop.com. You'll see not only the project, but the really beautiful project map that's laid out like I had in the photo. And then Allie has some tips that she's going to share with you that are also on I'm going to come back to these, but these are also on the project map page, okay, or on the project page. So everything is there and it's all linked so you can find it all. But on the table in front of me here, I want to show you guys what I've got going on. I wanted to take a little walk down memory lane before we got too into this project. I'm going to get a little bit closer. I don't know if you guys in the morning, if you decide what you're going to wear in your stack, right? I like to curate my stack. And in the morning, because, jewelry is super important in my life, and I know it's important in your lives. And so I just wanted to give you guys a flash of the stack that I'm wearing. I have had Kate's favorite I wear all the time, which I love. But I've been trying to mix it up a little bit lately. And I wanted to share with you some of the things that have been my favorites. And they're also very quick and easy for the holidays. This one is the Trax bracelet. And this is the one that I actually did in, I think it was on the broadcast when I did the Trax. And so I made it really short because I only did a single wrap. And you can find it on our project page at beadshop.com under bracelets, and you look for the Trax bracelet. And you can see it has a very small little section of laddering. It has some of the flat knot. And taking center stage really is this barrel knot, or the snake knot rather, that I've done here. And it uses the Fancy Pants chain. So this is just a single wrap. And I've been wearing it a lot lately because I think it really looks awesome stacked. Okay, so that's what I've been doing there. Then the other one that I've been wearing a lot that I wanted to share with you, and especially if you have guys in your life that you're making jewelry for. And just a little hint, a little tip, we do have a great project coming up for the guys in your life, though I think you're going to want to make one and wear it, and you'll see that coming up soon. But this one it's under our For the Guys section on beadshop.com in our under projects. You go to For the Guys, and this one's called the Archer, and I've made it in black, and I've made it kind of in this lighter kind of deerskin color. And you make the round braid. I show you how to do it. I think it was on a Free Tip Friday that I did it. I'll turn it over and you can see how I've connected it here with the macrame. Chris, my husband Chris, you know Chris as our shipping manager. He's the one who writes, some of you get little notes and special things on your envelope. That, of course, is my Chris. He wears this all the time. He loves it. He has the one in black. He took it on the off the wall and is wearing it. So it's a great one. And then I wanted to show you something else from my stack today, and then we'll get to the project because I know you guys are jonesing for it. But I wanted to show you guys these because, you know, the holidays are coming up and we need fast projects to make. Okay. This one is a bracelet that I made a billion years ago, and I used embroidery floss for it. Can you see that? But if you'll remember Brittany's epic micro macrame piece that she did, that she showed us how to do, if you'll notice on Brittany's micro macrame, let me turn it around so it's facing the same way. There we go. There we go. Can you see how it's exactly the same? It's that exact same macrame. I bet those of you who made friendship bracelets back in the 80s and 90s remember how to do this. It's the same way that Brittany did this. And this would be beautifully done, elevated in Chinese knotting cord. I stamped a little Kate, little placard for it here. And I just made a little hook and eye for it, right? And then I just sewed that little placard right onto this. But I think, and I really want to make one in Chinese knotting cord, but if you have embroidery floss, you can practice with it that way. But it's made exactly the same way. And maybe I'll devote a Free Tip Friday to just making this one using Brittany's macrame stitch, because I think it's really fun. It kind of, I don't know, it kind of goes back to old school, you know, like in the 90s and late 80s when we were making friendship bracelets. I know my college friends and I made them for everybody, and we wore them until they were dingy while we were staring moodily out the window, right? But I think it would be a fun update for that. So I wanted to share my stack with you today. So that was what I was wearing, along with my beloved mother-in-law's watch that she gave me and my beloved vintage Paris little bracelet from the 50s. So that's it. Okay, so, and Denise is saying she's too old, she never did friendship bracelets. Well, my dearest darling, it is never too late to do friendship bracelets, for sure. I wanted to share some of the inspiration behind Allie's piece before we jump into Allie's piece, okay? This is Emily's Beaded Berry, and she did this, it's part of Seed Bead School that she did a while back. And these beaded berry pieces, again, if you are looking for a fast holiday project, this one's my favorite because it has metal seed beads. And you know me and metal. This might have been the one that I did on air, I can't remember. That one there. And then I'm going to lay them all out, and then I'll zoom in so you guys can see them. But you can find them again on the website. It's called Beaded Berry Chain. You can make it as a necklace if you want, or you can make it as a bracelet. Let me get them nice and tight in there. Whoops, a little too far. So you can see all the berries there. They're just charming. And you could make these also as earrings. You could make a short piece and connect it to leather for a wrap, or I don't know, something like that. But beaded berry, you guys, is fast and easy and fun. And this is a great companion piece to that beaded berry. Okay, The last thing I wanted to show you, I want to get up close and personal with these two mixes, and then I promise we're gonna start, because I know you guys are like, let me see how Allie makes that. But this is the fall gourd mix right here. That's October's monthly mix, and here is the autumn fantasy, the one we're going to use today. I wanted to point out, some of you remember back in September when I did that, I think it was a Facebook Live that I did with the looming, and I showed you how to loom and then do the bead weaving so it tapers at the top. This was done with my Sea Star mix, okay, for September. This would also be a perfect project for the November mix or the October mix, because they're also all A-dots, okay? And I did this one as a double wrap. You can see it wraps double around, but you could also ladder with it skinny and just make a single wrap, or just do a single wrap with the bead woven part. So we always, you know, it feels like we always are making like these epic million wrap bracelets, but don't discount the single wrap that you can then stack with your other pieces. So the Sea Star wrap is a great one. And then I wanted to show you, last but not least, and you guys will remember this, Allie's piece that she did with the fall gourds mix. And this again is also up. It's up on the website, and it is called, I should have checked beforehand, I think it's under Farmer's Market Wrap. It is, and it's called Fall Gourd Wraps. Fall Gourds Wrap is what it's called. And she did, there's a nice project map for it. But this kind of harkens back a little bit to what Brittany was doing on Wednesday with the Bollywood necklace set. These have these beautiful flowers that we did. And I devoted a whole show to it, so you'll find it. This one patterning with this. And then this last section, which would make a great bracelet in and of itself, it's just strung with the melon beads and the star cuts. So I see that Anita is saying she's never made a wrap bracelet. Oh, Anita, collective gasp from everybody's watching. And you know, don't let a wrap bracelet be daunting. And I will confess to you, I did not make a wrap bracelet until I came back here to Beadshop. All right, and I'm like, what's all this hullabaloo about these wrap bracelets? And then I started to make them, and I made them and made them. The thing about a wrap bracelet is, you guys, it's kind of like a choose your own adventure book. I don't know if you read those as a kid or if your kids read those, right? But you kind of read along and then you choose a page to go to next, right? So you kind of make your own story or choose your own adventure. It's the same thing with the wrap bracelet, you know, and you can see Brittany's, the one that she was wearing on Wednesday, that one with the little knotted pieces. She's coming back to do it the last broadcast of the year. She's going to be making that one. And so all of these techniques, one thing I really want to impart to you today is all of these techniques that you've learned bead weaving, right, like this, you've learned stringing, you've learned laddering, you've even learned macrame, things like that. All of these pieces, these knots like this, right? These guys here with the snake knot. Choose your own technique and just take a wrap bracelet in little chunks. Just think of it as, what am I going to do for these 6.5 inches, right? And then weave it, bead weave it, or string it, or macrame it, or whatever. And then go next and go, what am I going to do for the next 6.5 inches, right? And then keep going, and then see what you have. That's really how I designed them, okay? So just take it in small, short chunks. So that brings us to Allie's amazing project here. And again, it's called party time. This is actually, as you can see, it's a photo printout because Allie still has the original with her at home. But you can go to the project and you can um, uh, go to the project and the project notes, the project map. There are notes that Allie has written, so so everything is there for you. We also have additional learning, like if you don't remember or if you've never done this flat macrame knot. There's so much learning on it, and also Leslie from across the pond. Leslie, you're asking about how do you do a snake knot? I did a free tip Friday on it, I believe. And if you go to the project, if you go to the tracks bracelet on in the learning, if you go to projects and you go to bracelets, it'll link to that video, and it's so super easy. It gives you a lot of bang for your buck. That one, and I've got a lot of, if you really dive into our free tip Fridays, I've done knotting on there, so you'll find a lot of different leather knots. I have one that's also simmering that I'm going to share with you guys soon, so it's kind of fun. Okay, so what I've done, let's take a look at what I'm going to use. Okay, so here is, let me go back so I can see what's in the photo. There we go. I've been on a kick to use my mini macrame board, and Denise is saying in the comments how she uses a box to set up her, either her looming or her wrapping. Oh, it's the walnut. Sorry, Mimi. It is, you know what? I'm calling it the snake knot. It's actually the walnut, W-A-L-L. I think that they kind of transfer them back and forth, but thanks, Mimi, for catching me on that. It's actually the walnut. Thank you. I try to keep everything in my brain, but sometimes I can't. So with the board like this, and we have a video on how to use this, the project tray, but essentially what you do is you can get a handy dandy piece of cord. I'm just going to tie a little knot here. And you can get your friend and mine, our favorite little clips. I'm actually going to make this loop a little bit smaller here. There we go. And then I'll clip it to the board like that. Let me clip it with my right hand. There we go. And then you set it up. This is a very simplistic version, but you set it up so that your thread, your button comes here like this, right? And then it goes along across the board, and you can ladder, or you can wrap your loom, your thread around the loom and stuff like that. So there's a lot, there's a great, you can use all these, it's great, right? But it's super easy to use. But, you know, I've been, and I go back and forth with what I use, and I think because I have been taking things home a lot and working on things at home, and I need things that are kind of portable and small, and it fits in my bag. So this is, I'm using the mini macrame board. And sometimes when I'm working at home, I use this side. It has the grid on it, and it also has the inches marked out. So it helps me to measure. But for video purposes, it can get kind of busy, so I turn it over on this side. Okay, I'm going to get real tight in here so you can see what I've got going on. There we go. That's pretty tight, right? So here at the top, what I've done is, you can see I've used the button, the Arabian star button here, and I have turned it over, and I have put my cords through. Now this design takes 6 cords, and I'll confess something here. I don't even know if I checked, Allie, with you when I wrote this project up. I chose fine for this because I wanted it to have a little bit of oomph, you know, a little bit of a heavier cord. And we're using this 6/0 here. So the 6 cords that I'm using go through this large big shadow bead, and they go through this 6/0. And I could probably get them all through the 6 mm, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of our poetry project to this too, and I'm going to show you that. If you have some fine Ceylon, or I'm sorry, the micro Ceylon, you can also use that micro as well, and the micro will fit in there nicely. All of the strands will. Okay, so what I've done here with 6 strands, and with the beaded berry, with these berries, there's 6 legs, I guess is what I want to say, 6 legs that make up the berry here. And it's also reminiscent what we had, what Janice taught over at the bead retreat. She also taught beaded beads, I guess, and a beaded tassel. And I'll show you guys, we have some plans for those for you for a live broadcast, but it's kind of a fun way to make some focal beads for those as well. So it's a similar technique. I'm going to move this up just a little bit so the button is hanging off the board so you can kind of see what I've done. So I've cut 2 strands, and I've made this shorter. Let me measure. You know what, I don't have Allie's piece here, but Allie's looks like it's a 1, 2, it looks like it's about a 3 or 4 wrap piece. So essentially, when you're deciding how much thread to cut for your piece, you want to multiply it by 7 inches. You know, 1 is 7, right? The 7 inches. So if this is just a short little piece here, I would just do a single wrap. So my long strand here would be about 24 inches or so, because I'm going to double it over, right? So I've got enough extra here. And so you can see I've cut my 2 long strands, and I've doubled them through that button. Okay, and so those are the 4 strands, or the 2 doubled strands that are running through. Okay, and remember, you want to, whatever this section, this first section is going to be, if that's 7 inches, you would double it, and then you multiply it by however many wraps you want, plus add some extra. I add about 5 or 6 inches extra, so I have plenty of room, okay, to macrame with. So this is 2 strands that are doubled that come together to make 4 strands. Then I add my extra 2 strands, or my 2 strands come in when I start to macrame. So can you see here under the button, those strands are coming through, they come through, and then I start with another long strand, find the center, and I start macrameing, and that's my little macrame section that's right there. So when they all come together like this, I've got 6 working strands. Does that make sense? Okay. So then I'm just going to take this guy down, and I'm going to, in that macrame that I've done, and I know you guys are asking, Kate, how long did you macrame this? I macrameed it just so it almost clears the button, enough so that my loop is going to sit there. Okay. And I'm going to just come in, and I'm going to pin through that macrame. I'm using those sewing pins, like Brittany mentioned on Wednesday. Those sewing pins are nice and skinny. See that? Nice and slim, so they don't hurt your macrame at all. All right. And so then what I've done, I've got my big shadows here. I slide my big shadow on, and I slide on my 6/0, which fits over all of these strands. And then I strung my 4mm. I'm sorry, my 6mm on here. Now, what I can do is, if they don't all fit, and you may be using beads that, my threads are a little tangled, so I'm going to untangle them while I talk to you. The holes in the beads that you use is kind of these little stations here. Your threads may, or your hole sizes rather, may vary, right? So that the threads may not all go through. Okay, so I'm going to pull these out. And what Allie says, and I'm gonna go to this this little slide here so you guys can see it. As we're stringing, she says string all the tails of the berry through the separator beads. So that's what we're calling these separator beads. Hold aside the 2 outside strands, okay? And then you push the separator beads up, and that's what creates the berry. And then you tie a pair of flat macrame knots to temporarily hold the berry while you string the next one. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep those threads as actually a design element in my piece. So I'm not only using this beaded berry and the beaded bead, I'm also going to add in a little bit of our poetry for this. And I'm going to raise everything up using my spool of thread here, so I've got enough to use. Now, you remember, if you were watching the broadcast on Wednesday, Brittany was doing some flat macrame. And I really liked what she said. It's the P for princess and then the Q for queen on the other side. So I'm going to start with the P side, or the princess side. And I'm just going to tie 1 full flat knot here. Okay, I'm going to make this a little more thread forward. So see that there? Now I'm going to push up this 6mm, and I'm going to tie 2 more, but I'm going to tie them, I'm going to leave them. So again, it's a little more thread forward and a little more, adding a little bit of poetry in there, right? So those 2, right? Then I'm going to push up that other separator bead. Now what I can do, this separator bead, it's a 6/0, so the hole is big enough, right? So, and what I've done is I put the zap glue on the ends of my threads. I'm just going to make sure that they're cut at an angle. I do my little zap with my little, I put the zap in a baggie. I think I moved it because I was afraid. No, here it is. I put my zap in a little baggie. You can see how grungy this baggie is starting to look. And then I make a little taco with the baggie and pull that thread through. And that's what gives me a nice stiff zapped glue end of the thread. So now I can send those threads through that 6/0 super fast and easy. Let me just tighten this up a little bit so I don't have moving around. There we go. And I'll send 1 thread through, and I'm going to send the other thread through. Poetry is a Janice classic. It's a Beadshop classic if you haven't done it. Also a really great one for gift giving. It has a lot of visual impact, and when you give someone a piece in the poetry style, people are like, oh my God, what did you do? It's so amazing. So you can see I've added that thread just a little bit there, and you can see in Allie's project here, she doesn't have that thread going around, nor those knots. So you could make it either way. Okay, so now let's string the berry, shall we? Let me widen this up. Now for the project, if you want to do like Allie does, you know, what would Allie do? WWAD, what would Allie do? You would sort your threads, your beads, okay? But for this, I'm not going to sort. I'm just going to string. And it looks like she put on for her berries 7 beads per berry. Okay, so I'm going to do this so I can do it as quickly as I can. All of these have been zap glued, and I'm going to make sure I've got all 6. One is an outlier over here. Let me do it here. Okay, here's this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to tap them, bring them in all together. I'm going to take one and I'm just going to string up 6. Did I say 6? 7, I meant. 7 beads. Sorry. 6 threads, 7 beads. There's 2, 4, 5, 6. Now if you did this with when you were separating your beads out, if you'll notice on the, and I'm going to change this over so you can see the piece, the front piece here while I'm doing this. Can you see how Allie did, how they're color separated? And the center bead is all this kind of really cool pink bead that's in there, that galvanized pink, right? You could get another specialty bead for that. You could get a little shadow. You could get a 5mm rondelle. You could go stash diving and grab something out of your stash that's small and interesting, and you could use that for the center of these berries, right? But what Allie did was, when she sorted everything out, she chose that pink bead for the center. Beth has a question over on the Facebook, on the YouTube channel, and she's asking about using Nymo for this project. I would say, Beth, that Nymo is too fine. I think for this 2, 4, 6, 7, making sure I've got the right number here. I would say for this project, you need something that is a little more robust, especially if you're using size 8s. Size 11s might work if you pop down to see, but you may want to do like this macrame and stuff with a larger, like maybe a micro Ceylon or stuff like that. I feel like Nymo is kind of, not to belittle your thread choice in the least, but even with bead weaving projects now, I stay away from Nymo. I use either KO or Fireline, or you guys know my favorite, Hana in the pebble color. What Nymo has a tendency to do, and it's always done in projects, I really make sure that I wax it, because Nymo has a tendency, at least for me, to shred a bit. So that's just my feeling. So we're super close. We're almost there. I've got 1, 2, and this one's missing. No, there it is. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's my 6th leg. Okay. I'm going to do this one here. This is our 6th leg with 7 beads. Okay. There we go. Now, what Allie says, I'm going to get back over there, 2, 4, 6. There's the 7th right there. Now, what Allie says on this is, she says when you string all of the tails together, you push up the separator beads and it kind of holds everything together as you're creating the berry. You can see here as I pull these up, okay, you can see it's all pulled together. You can see it's all pulled together. Let me get in kind of tight so you can see this, because we're going to make the berry. And we're going to push all of this kind of up. And can you see how, and I want to make sure that all of my pieces are kind of not twisted or anything. So they sit. Can you see that if I hold it up? How they're all kind of sitting correctly and nicely. And that's going to make the berry. So now to make the berry kind of come together, we're going to put on more of our separator beads. Okay, so again, I'm going to bring all 6 of these together, and that 6/0 holds everything. So I'm just going to come in, put them through, except this little straggler. Come on, there we go. And then this comes up. Oh, there's one more straggler. Come on now. If you have trouble, just get your finger underneath that bead, push it up, and that opens up the little tunnel right there. Okay, make sure everything is nice and even, and slide that bad boy up. Okay, so now what I've done before is to tighten everything, I did that little macrame flat knot, so I'm going to do that again. Again, you don't have to, you could just carry the threads along the side if you wanted to. All right, but I'm going to get all 4 of my threads. I'm going to put them together. I'm going to get my 6mm, and I'm just going to send all these guys through. Now you could use a needle if you wanted, and I think we've got needles listed on the list in case, but I find that these the zap glue on the ends of these beads, or on the ends of these threads, just help the threads go through nice and evenly, except this one doesn't want to. Come on, there we go. Okay, so now let me widen this shot a little, and then you can see what I'm going to do. So see, I've got everything under that bead, then I continue, I push all that up, and I want to make sure, see how my berry beads are kind of sitting kind of funny. So I want to make sure that each of these is sitting nice and tight, and now I'm going to just tighten it up in my bead board, lift with this guy, and do my 2 knots, my P and my Q, my macrame flat knot. Erin was asking the tubes of thread. We still carry them. It's Superlon D. So it's like this Ceylon, but it's super fine. So it's also a nice thread to use when you need a super skinny thread. We carry them in some, I think they come in tubes of 10 or 12 multiple colors. I love them. Okay, I really like using them, and I probably don't use them as often as I should, but they're also a great alternative if you're using something that's super skinny. So there are my 2 knots. My 2 knots are in place holding that bead, and again, you want to make sure that everything is not too twisted or not sitting correctly. I'm going a little fast, so you can see how that one is kind of a little twisted, but I'm not going to worry about it too much. Now all of these, or it's Ceylon and D, yeah, Ceylon in the size D. It's very nice, consistent thread, really very pretty. I bring all of these together, and I'm going to go back through this guy here. And the fine Ceylon, I could probably wrangle all 6 threads through the 6mm, but I think it's easier just to carry the thread along the outside of it. If you did want to put something all the way through, I might choose maybe a Matubo instead of this 6mm fire polish. A Matubo would be great. Okay, So there's that second one. Let me get in a little, or let me just raise it. You guys may be able to see it if I just raise it up. There we go. Let me center it so you guys can see. Okay. Very, very attractive, very easy to do. If you, I just got this brainwave here, if you at the top added an ear wire instead of a button and you could tassel down here, wouldn't that make a fantastic earring? We'd be done. We'd put a few little beads on the tassel. It would be gorgeous. It would make a great light, very light, kind of an interesting earring design. Okay. How am I doing on time? Okay, I want to talk to you about the closure. Okay, right here. And so you can see here this slide that's on the screen now. Okay. When using, and Allie, of course, Allie, you used micro and I didn't even look. It's fine that I said on the piece. So for the fine, you guys are going to have to carry those two around. But what Allie used was the micro, so it all went through. And what she said, when using the micro seal-on, you want to macrame several layers, one on top of the other, to give support to the button shank and reinforce the button loop. So can you see here on the top, over on the top of the button, how if you're using micro, she went over a couple of times, kind of like what Brittany did with that fishtail that she did with the smaller seal-on, right? This one here with the micro going back and forth will also reinforce that loop. I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to do this, how I would tackle this real quick. And do this in a very, very small manner. But you can see here at the end, and I'll pull this back up, Allie came through all the beads, came through that big shadow, did the loop, and then came back through and knotted it off. So I'm going to show you how I do that. Now, for the closure, you're going to have all 6 of these threads. Okay. Materials list, you can use the micro or the fine. What I have listed right now on the materials list is the fine. But if you're doing the fine, just do that carry along like I did right here, and I think it looks good. Teach me to make that list without consulting Allie Mori. Or I bet she sent it and I was too busy and just made assumptions. You know what happens there. So here's my big shadow. Okay. There it is. And what I'll do now at this point, if this were micro, and I'm going to do this with this anyway, with this fine, I would take out 2 strands on one side, 2 strands on the other, and I would macrame around 2 center sections. Okay? So I would just pretend that these 2 are one. All right, so let's just do it. Here's our P, 2 strands. 2 strands coming over, under the center, and out the loop, and tied. And I want to leave just, I can leave just a little looseness, or when I come back over, I can also just finish it there. So maybe I won't make it too loose, but I don't want it so tight that it's gonna be too tight to deal with. Okay, so see how I'm just gonna macrame. I'm gonna macrame at speed, right over left, or to the right and to the left, to make my P's and my Q's. Okay, and again, I'm just treating it as if it were one. If I was running out of thread, you can tie on, just like we did on Wednesday. You can come in and you can tie on another thread somewhere back in the piece, right? And just macrame it in. So adding thread to a flat knot is very, very easy. Some of you are commenting that you could do this with the 11/0 on the micro. It would look great. You can pop down to the 11/0 or up to the 6/0. I think that this is a really adaptable design, which is what I love. And you know, I also think sometimes when we make mistakes live on air, it actually is helpful for you guys to see how we roll with the punches with these, because at home when you're at your creation station, as Brittany said on Wednesday, and I'm going to use that forever, when you're at your creation station, sometimes things don't always go as planned, right? So so necessity is the mother of invention, right? Ellen is saying, tiny. Yes, it is true. Whoops, this one I don't like how I tied it, so I'm going to take it out. The kitty cats are fine. Oliver and Alfred are at home. They are fully integrated and having a great time. Alfred had a little bit of a kitty cat cold, but he is on the mend, so he's fine. So everybody's fine. Everybody's playing well together. There we go. I just wanted to tear it out. I couldn't let that. All the kitties are fine, and Alfred is so happy to have a little brother to boss around. So, and a big hello. I know a lot of you guys watch with your pets and post the pictures of your pets and stuff on the bead table on our Beadshop group, and I just love them. So hello to all of my pet friends out there, including Sam, our old man cat who watches us, and all the pets out there. We love pets here at beadshop.com and on the bead table. So can you see how macrameing with 2 strands makes everything kind of a little bit heavier? The drawback, why I had to pull it back, and I want to tell you, if I'm pulling these and I pull one strand more than the other, and I'm going to try and exaggerate it here so you can see it. See how you get like a little knot, a little funny knot bubble of thread? So your final pull on that knot, just kind of make sure that both strands are being pulled evenly, and your macrame will look nice and clean. I'm almost there, so bear with me. We're on the home stretch on this. I'm just checking to see if there were any other questions out there in Beadshop land. Just a reminder for next week's live broadcast, we're going to have a very, very special guest, Cynthia Thornton of Green Girl Studios. Cynthia is going to be here for a full day of fun. I have created a really, what I think is a really fantastic project for you guys for next week. And then in the afternoon, Cynthia and I are going to do what we like to call a creative explosion, where we just pick some products and we're going to make some things live on air. And Cynthia is also going to give you a peek into the process of how she carves and makes beads. So it's going to be I think a pretty fun day. So that will be next Wednesday. Yolanda's asking what was wrong with the stitches. And Yolanda, I just didn't pull one tightly enough, so there was kind of a hole, and I didn't like how it looked. I could really see it here, but I bet you guys didn't see it on the camera, so I probably should have left it. But anyway, so we're gonna just make sure that our piece is long enough. Whether or not it's long enough to fit the button, I'm not going to worry about it, because I want to show you how I'd finish this. And let me get a little wider here. There we go, so you guys can see. As I bring my loop around here, right, you want to make sure that the button fits. See how this button does not fit, but I'm not going to worry about it. We're going to make sure that you guys can just see me close this. I'm going to get my, this is where my little cord comes in handy, because I need to secure the macrame so it has tension. I'm just going to clip it for now so it's good, and then I'm going to just pin this so everything is going to stay. Now what I do, and it actually should be, these threads should be underneath. Let me turn all this over. There we go. And I'm going to make sense of these threads in just a second. Don't worry, I know it looks, as my friend Mary likes to say, like the cat's breakfast, but just hang on there. There we go. So we're going to, I'm going to put one more pin there. I'm going to pull this thread down, tighten it up. Tension is the answer to all of this when you're making this piece. But I have to line it up. There we go. So see how the loop needs to be even, like that. You don't want it to be too tall or too short, or else it's not going to macrame correctly. There we go. Put that in there. Okay. So now, see, from underneath, I'm going to come in and I'm going to just put a few stitches. And this would be a little bit longer, right, to fit my button, obviously, right? So I'm going to come in and just bring this around and macrame my pea side. There we go. I'm going to put a pin now also in that loop so it doesn't keep moving. There we go. And I'm going to go to my Q side. And see, that's why I wanted just a little bit of space right there, so I'd have a place to come around and macrame. There we go. And I can even bring these around if I want. I might do one more. I think there's room maybe for one more knot. And before I would close this knot up, knotting with 2 strands of this always complicates things a little bit. Let me get it nice and tight so you can see what I'm going to do next. Okay. I'm going to get a little bit of hypo. I'm going to add it right there, really carefully. I don't want to get too crazy with the glue, but just a little touch there, so when I tie the knot over the top, can you tell I'm trying to get the lid back on the glue? When I tie that knot right over the top, it's going to really hold it in place. Okay. And then I'll glue it, I'll free everything up, and I'm going to glue it one more time in the back, once more in the front, and undo it there. Now you could, if you wanted, if you had built in a little bit of extra space there too, I could have taken this big shadow. Let me show you. this big shadow has a giant hole. So I could have taken all of these strands back through that big shadow if I had extra space and continued a little more macrame down there and then finished it off at that part too. Okay. You could also, if you wanted, make your loop, come around, make your loop, and then I could have silk wrapped it all closed as well. Okay, so there's lots of different ways that you can close this up. Okay, yeah, it's the world's smallest. It's a super tiny little piece. Let me undo this. Then with the glue, I'd wait the 24 hours or at least 12 hours to really let it set. And then I'd either clip it very closely or I'd use my thread burner, which is sitting on my desk in my office, and I'd burn it. I'd burn the tails away. Okay, but in this case, I'll just come in and let's pretend that it's set. I'm going to clip using my thread snips. Just, whoops, one more, just like so. Janice is saying she also likes to make those extra threads, and also like you could again thread those down into that big shadow because that big shadow has such a big hole, and have them come down here and string them up and make them little tassels like that, if that makes sense. Okay, so that's how it is. There you go. Let me go back to that front view so you guys can see it. And again, I use the fine seal-on for mine, so you'll have to carry that seal-on around the side of your 6/0. I'm sorry, your 6 millimeters, 6mm fire polish, or you can go ahead and use micro as well, right? It is, everyone say it would look nice on a key ring. Right, this is our holiday, my holiday key ring, just right there, right? It's perfect. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's broadcast. I had a lot of fun bringing this to you. Allie, thank you so much for your amazing design with the monthly mix, and I can't wait to share with you guys the monthly mix that Jenny and Jordan are coming up with for December. So that does it for me for Friday. I will see you on Wednesday, and that is next Wednesday. It's the 13th of November. That is when Cynthia will be here, and we'll have our regular broadcast in the morning at 10, and then on that afternoon, after we have lunch and rest a little bit, we're going to have our creative explosion. It's going to be really fun. She's going to share some of her process with you. We're going to make some stuff, and it's going to be good times. So this weekend, if you have not signed up for our newsletter, you guys, and this is my little plug, our Beadshop plug, because we really, really appreciate it whenever you shop with us and support us. We would not be here without you, of course. But sign up for the newsletter if you haven't already for beadshop.com. This holiday season, we've got so much fun stuff coming up. New what I want to say, curated mixes, little mixes. We've got some fun giveaways. We've got a lot of cool things coming down the pike. So the best way to hear about all of those is to open your newsletters each morning from us. We are also starting our Black Friday specials, have started this weekend and through the weekends running up until and through Black Friday on Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving here. So open those newsletters. We've got some great stuff coming your way. So that's it, you guys. Again, thank you so much, all of you, from joining me from around the globe, morning, noon, and evening, wherever you are. We really, really appreciate it. So I will see you next week with Cynthia, Everybody have a fantastic and creative weekend, and we'll see you soon.